Hey guys, what's up? I'm Siddhant, and I will be your host tonight for this panel discussion titled as Entertainment Industry versus COVID-19. This event is brought to you by Designhill's world's largest creative marketplace with presence in over 150 countries. It is a one-stop solution for creative needs of businesses and individuals alike. And the panelists for tonight are Prosenjit, Kundu, and Tracy Desa. A big hi to them and much love from Designhill. Guys, please say a big hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, good guys. And guys, if you can hear me, so please feel free to talk in the chat section. And the questions can be in the questions tab as well. So hey Madhura, how are you? So we welcome you here as well. And Madhura, can you confirm me that can you hear me fine? Just to make sure that audience can hear us as well. So if anyone from the audience can hear me, then please yeah. So we are fine. So guys, something about the speakers now. So guys, Kundu or Prosenjit Kundu is a real name, the full name actually. He is a dancer, choreographer, model with international footprint. He has worked with artists like Faith Evans, A R Rahman, Chris Wan, Later Fan Khan, among others, and for brands like MTV, Nike, Microsoft, etc. He was a judge of Channel V's first dance reality show, Footloose. And then we have Tracy, a force to reckon with in the rap scene. Her debut album, Commotion, just completed a year. She is an all-round performer and entertainer, and a well-versed on stage and off-stage dynamics of this industry. So, guys, before starting, how does it feel to be here? I will start with Kundu right now.
How does it feel to be here?
Yeah, addressing this non-conventional entertainment event. It's a podcast.
This is cool. Like I've done like a few of these things. I think this has been a little bit more like I've done some of these through like Instagram. So I think this is a little bit more organized. So it'll be interesting. And I did it just on one-on-one. So it's nice to have somebody else in the you know in the combination of things and stuff. So yeah, looking forward to this. It'll be fun.
So I hope you have a good time. And Tracy, what about you? How do you think about this, non-club setup, which is for you guys? It's not something
Yeah,
it's very common in the industry which we deal with.
I think it's super interesting because it helps us like redefine what our work is about, and it helps us like impart knowledge and understand a lot of things about how the business works because we're just so used to doing music, going on stage, and then that's it. That now we're really getting to know about the backstage work, about how an artist has to behave and how we have to market our work and how we have to network and everything. So I think this is a good opportunity for us to get on track and learn about this side of the work.
That's brilliant. And guys, before we start about discussing the impact of COVID-19, I would love to know that how did it impact you guys actually? Because I will start from Kundu. As you take workshops around the world, and recently you were in Sri Lanka where you were teaching. So, as an educator and a performer, how it impacted you personally?
How has this whole situation affected me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm having trouble hearing you. You're like Tracy's fine, but yours is like vibrating a lot. So I'm trying to so it might be difficult at times. So I'll have to ask, how has it affected me? Not really that much. I feel it's a little bit of an inconvenience, I guess, but I'm quite thankful for everything I have in my life, and but like for work, yeah, like actually Tracy and we were supposed to do a gig in Mumbai, and I actually reached out to her because I was like, oh, okay, an Indian who has French like lineage and stuff. So I was like, that was pretty interesting because I rarely came across anything like that. But so that was like one of the projects, and then there were a few other things like Vietnam and Kerala and Bangladesh. But these are just gigs, and it might not happen now, but it'll probably happen in some months or another year or so, and that's totally fine. I mean, a lot of people are having a hard time, and I understand a lot of people like go from gig to gig, but I mean, I'm just taking this time and I'm just using it for myself. Doing some reading and doing my own personal stuff, like doing more yoga, dancing here and there, which is a little hard sometimes to get the motivation. But yeah, and I've been like cooking, so I've been just taking the time for myself. So yeah, so it hasn't really hindered like my life. It just put like a nice little pause on it, I guess.
Yeah, I think your mic is cut.
Yeah, I want
Okay.
actually to how did it affect you as a, because you go on and off stage a lot. You are on stage off stage person as well. How did it affect you personally? Because for
Yeah,
Kundu, it's like a nice little break. And what about you? What do you say?
I think it was really tough on my side because I had to cancel a lot of like international gigs. So I had done these gigs in India. I had come back to France and I was meant to go back to Bombay beginning of March, and I had to cancel that. I had like 5, 6 shows lined up that I had to cancel. Well, that were canceled because of this whole Corona situation. I also had gigs in Canada, so those were going to be my first gigs in Canada. So this was like a new door that was opening up for me, and now it's closed. And what is really weird is that I don't know how to position myself anymore as an international artist because I know that I'm not going to be able to travel for the rest of the year at least. I know that I'm not going to be able to, to go to a different continent. So now it's like, okay, how do I develop my music in my own continent first so that I can build an audience to then open up new doors from 2021 onwards? So it's like I'm trying to take this as a break as well because as an artist we always work, like we're working 24/7, weekends, public holidays, we're always working. So it's cool to have like a break and do all these things that we never have time to do, like reading and stuff. But at the same time, it's really hard to figure out what the next step is going to be because all these doors suddenly closed and we don't know when they're going to open up and we don't know how they're going to open up, like with what limits and what setbacks and stuff like that. So it's hard to predict, how we have to work and market our music to be able to travel and open up new audiences in new countries. So I think it's kind of like frustrating at the same time. So at the beginning, I was like, oh, damn it, this is gonna like ruin my career. How am I gonna, get back on track on 2021? How am I gonna keep my project going on right now if everything is on pause? Because like even releasing music is not working nowadays. People are just so fed up with the situation that they're not even on their computers and stuff. The only things that actually work today are like Netflix and YouTube, but people are not streaming music anymore. So even to release a track, we know that the track is going to be like consumed in 1 week and then it's going to disappear. Nobody's going to even like remember that you released a track. So how do you position yourself as an artist when you have content to release, but you want it to be released in a good way where you can actually promote it and you want it to be appreciated by the public? And right now, it's not the moment. So I feel like, we're all, laying back, waiting to release our music. And then when summer's going to come, September's going to come, we're all going to release stuff and the market is going to be so saturated. Then that's another like work to anticipate on, like how are you going to be able to promote your music when there's like 100 other singles going out on the same day. So it's like a lot of thinking to do, and I think it's like we should take it as a break, but we still need to be working at the same time.
So that is like a really harsh double whammy you talked about. That you can't release it now, and if you release it post-corona times, it will be tough to get the real attention. And let us say, when you talk about this industry, it contains the one glam side, which is about the final product, the film, the album, the music. But there is a lot of stuff in the backstory, the logistics, the line production guys, the agencies which are involved. So, by your experience, how do you think they will be impacted by this? Because being an artist, we know our struggles. But what about these people who are in the backstage of it?
You asking me or Kundu?
I'm going with you first this time, then I'll just
Okay.
speak with you.
I think for them it's really harder. It's a lot harder because they are, they'll be waiting for us. So like we can more or less still work on our audience and we can still work on our content. And I think it's a good time for artists to diversify their capacities and their skills. So like for example, during this quarantine, I've been doing a lot of my own graphic design and stuff like that, things that I never did before. I've learned how to edit a video just because I've had the need, like I had the need. I felt like I had to do it myself. I couldn't be depending on anybody. So I have like developed skills during this quarantine. But for the people that are backstage, it's like they're losing more work than we are because the only thing they can do is network to have more projects to work on, but they have no capacity of actually putting out content themselves. Like a sound engineer, what is he going to put out as content? Like I can send him music and he can be able to work on that, but at the same time, I don't know, I just feel like it's harder for them because they would have material to work on, but they wouldn't be able to monetize it as much as we would, kind of a thing.
Kundu, what do you think about this?
You have to ask the question again. I'm having a real hard time.
Oh, that's fine. So the question was essentially, what impact do you think it will have on the people who work on the backstage of the industry, who are the artist managers, the logistics supply people, the line production heads? What about them?
Well, I'm kind of like in a different space than Tracy. I mean, um, I've for myself, when I grew up in New York and stuff like that, I had an age and everything was like that. But now, since I left the States and been like doing my own thing, I kind of do everything on my own. I manage myself. I take care of everything. And a lot of the editing, like I used to do a lot of the editing. Now I have friends who do it for me and help me out and stuff. But I've kind of did all that on my own. So I can't really speak actually for the others because I don't know. I think this is just a time that either you just got to get a little creative. I think people who are naturally creative will find ways, other avenues of executing things and utilizing what they need to.
Oh, that's great. Finding new aspects in these time as well. And Kundu, we have a fan of yours in the chat section.
Okay.
Piyush is saying, he's saying, "Hey Kundu sir, big fan."
Okay.
So yeah, someone in the chat section is greeting you. So hi Piyush, welcome here. I hope you're having a nice time. And so now let's moving on the creative aspect of the same business, Kundu. So we see a lot of dancers and performing artists. They are coming on digital platforms very aggressively now. They're going real hard on Zoom classes, on Instagram classes.
Okay.
They're going really hard. So do you think it will be a permanent change now that they have this extra revenue
Permanent
to come on?
change. No, I can't. I don't know about that, but the only thing is, it's great. I guess a lot of people are doing it for free, and I think that's a great thing. But then it also affects the industry, like when it comes, because I know some dancers are charging for their online classes, but then the students who are interested are saying, but ma'am or sir or whatever, they're like, why are you charging? This person isn't charging. So it's like everybody's kind of, there's no kind of like middle ground for like a lot of the artists. Then people start wanting to do everything for free. But then again, on my own story, like when I initially came to India, I was teaching for free for a long time. So, but yeah, so I don't know. I guess I mean, it's cool. Like everybody's like the dance has become like a huge thing here, and everybody's really enjoying it. So it's like I guess it's also it's just connecting people. There's a lot of online battles as well, as you can see. Um, I'm helping to organize something India versus New York. So it's cool. Like a lot of people are getting to meet people they probably would not have had the opportunity to meet because of this whole situation and stuff like that. Yeah.
And Tracy, yeah, what do you think about this scenario? That if will there be a permanent shift in performances? Because I've seen even DJs performing on Instagram now. They're even giving like paid classes or paid shows even. So will it be a permanent change or is something like a flash in the pan?
I think it's not going to be permanent. I think because Instagram lives have always existed, but I mean, not always, but for the past year, they have existed, and people haven't been using them because it's not the same thing as going to a show or going to a dance class. It's just not the same energy. And as an artist, it's really weird to do a live show on Instagram. It's like you're performing in front of your phone or in front of your computer. Like you lose the essence, you lose the stage presence, you lose the interaction with the public. Like I have been to dance classes on Zoom, and they're like, okay, did you understand? No answer. And no, she's like, okay, can I see your thumbs up at least? It's like such a weird way of interacting, and I think people are starting to miss like human interaction, which is kind of cool because I think we had lost that a lot. I felt like over the past year, like concerts were getting empty because people were just so used to streaming music on different platforms and different apps, and just downloading everything on internet, that people didn't feel the need to go to a concert anymore. So like summer festivals would work incredibly, but then small venues doing small concerts in the middle of the week, like there would be no one. So I think this is going to really help redefine how we want to consume culture. and how we want to consume art. And I think people are going to, be more looking forward to going and actually being in a place and listening to music live and taking a class like in live in person. And I think what Kundu was saying about getting, how do you monetize these lives is a very interesting question, because like none of these lives are paid. Like all these venues or all the organizers don't have money to pay you for a live, and it feels like this live doesn't have any worth financially, when at the end of the day it's still your art. So people should still be paying for to see you perform or to see you dancing. But they feel like, oh, it's just on Instagram, you're just at home, you just connect, you just put your camera on and that's it. But no, behind that there's a lot of work, there's a lot of organization, there's a lot of skills, there's classes that you've taken in the past, there's all the production of the music and everything. So it's like you still need to monetize it, but you can't with today's situation, because it's a financial crisis and nobody has money to spend on anything today. So I think what is important is to look at it as a way to finance and monetize your actions for the future. As in today, you're going to be performing to a crowd that is online, but these people are going to discover you, and then that's going to want to make you. That's going to want to make them want to, come to a concert in a couple of months. That's going to make them want to come to a dance class in a couple of months. And at the same time, you can still negotiate with these venues and stuff. Like for example, somebody asked me to perform on a live, and they were like, "Okay, I can't pay you." But I was like, okay, you can't pay me today, but I want you to program me on your next festival in 2021. So it's like you can still, negotiate and try to monetize it for the future, kind of a thing.
That is some core business knowledge from Tracy right now. And Kundu, I will come back to you here for this question. But you are in this scenario for a long point of time. You have been teaching dance for long. Can you hear me fine?
Yeah.
You have been teaching dance.
Yeah. Go close so I can hear you, because I'm having a hard time.
Okay. So you have been teaching dance for a long point of time, and when it comes to this industry of performing arts, there are two spectrums actually. There are two ends basically. One are the like mega production houses, and other are really small studios. So
Okay.
those big production houses do have enough juice to carry on these in these uncertain times. But what about the small studios? How they can ensure that they have a revenue flow right now, or can they ensure that how to have a revenue flow once these things end? How to have the money flowing in now?
Well, with the dance studios?
I mean, any studios actually.
Well, right now, I mean, I think all kinds of businesses, not just dance, is like they're suffering, especially small businesses. Um, I mean, there's somebody I know who has a dance studio, and she's stuck. She's in a bad situation. Hopefully, a lot of these people who own this property and stuff can give these people a break, as far as mortgage and stuff. So it's a hard situation. I've never wanted to own a dance studio, and this is, thank God I don't, because this is a time like I wouldn't know what to do. It's a lot of work. My dad owned a restaurant business for many years, and yeah, I mean, he said the same thing. He said, "Thank you, for not, not thank you. Sorry." He said, he was just like thankful that he doesn't have a restaurant at this time, because a lot of business are suffering really bad. So yeah.
And actually, we have a question now, and that's actually from Piyush, and it's actually a very interesting one.
Okay.
So Piyush actually stated in the fact that he has your tattoo on your arm, and he wants to know how was it being on V Channel V Footloose.
Channel
So
V
he
Footloose. Oh, um,
so someone
yeah, it
struck
was.
those chords.
Okay. Yes, Piyush. The experience was great. I really enjoyed it. I think that's kind of that TV show was something that really catapulted the street dance phenomena in this country, and also because of that platform, it got me to be known in much different parts of India. And so the experience was good. It was like the first, and it's been like the only TV show that's actually played like Western music. A lot of these TV shows, they play like Indian music and stuff like that, like Hindi tracks. So you're doing like hip hop, you're doing like poppin' or something, but it's like a Hindi track. So with that show, because it was like a very niche kind of channel and stuff like that, they were very open to experiment. And being that I don't know any the Indian language or anything, like they were, with that show, I was able to talk, express it obviously in my language, which I'm comfortable in, but then they would have like subtitles and stuff like that. So I think that show was like, in a nutshell, it was like kind of ahead of its time, you know, especially for India. Like it was street dance and everybody, and like the music that they played, and it was cool, like just like the whole thing. And then they were pretty open to, like, through that TV show, I did a lot of like free tutorials, and that's how people came to learn about a lot of these dance forms. So I think if it was a bigger production, it wouldn't have had so much leeway and stuff. But because it was a much smaller production, it was quite open and stuff. And this was like 10 years ago. So yeah. Yeah, Piyush. So the experience was really good. It was a great experience. I enjoyed it. I was actually kind of disappointed that they didn't have season 2, but it's all about the TRPs. I guess it wasn't, up to par what they wanted, so they couldn't continue the show.
Ah,
You know.
that's so yeah. We actually have this amazing nostalgia about the show now. So I
I
enjoyed
mean,
it
you saw the
personally.
show. I think you saw the show you mentioned, right?
Yeah, I did.
That's what I'm saying.
I did.
A lot of the young people saw that, and that's kind of like that was their introduction to street dance. And the thing is, the other two judges, they weren't really too well educated on these different forms and stuff. They were more Bollywood. And I remember on the show, like, after, these shows are never real time, right? There's a lot of editing, but I kind of had to coach like the whole production. I had to coach the producers, I had to coach like the judges, like kind of like, they weren't sure how to like critique things and like who was better and stuff. So it almost became like kind of like my show, and in some ways, it's just like I had to tell everybody, no, what's right, what's stuff like that. Yeah, but it was cool. I had a good time. It was fun.
So yeah, we can say that was the point of time when you came as a disruptor. You were a disruptor back then.
Pardon me?
You are actually a disruptor back then. 10 years back, Channel V, Footloose, Kundu was a new thing in dancing. That changed the actual entire scenario.
Yeah, for India, right? Like, even though I had
Yeah.
been here already five years or so, using media, the TV and stuff like that, because people here watched a lot of TV and stuff. So that was just a way to get my name out there, and to be able to do what I need to do, and that was to, like, spread dance in this country as much as I could. You know.
Yeah, that's a good. And guys, we have one more question from Madhura, and he wants to know that please do talk about earning a living as an independent artist post-Corona times. So I'll start this question with Tracy. So if you can
I
give a
think
few tips, very actionable tips, so 2, 3 crisp tips before we take a break, that
yeah.
how to ensure earning a living post-Corona times.
I think this is a very interesting question that a lot of like artists in hip hop should be asking themselves, because this Corona thing just appeared in our lives and we were really not ready for it. Of course, it's something that was really hard to anticipate, but it shows us that we need to think about having more than one source of income. Like, we cannot only depend on live shows. We need to have other money that is coming in through different things. So I think, like, what is something really interesting when you're a rapper is that you have good writing skills, and you need to learn how to monetize that. There's a lot of pop artists that are looking for people to write for them, for example, and we haven't united these two worlds yet. So, for example, I write for people, so I've had that source of income coming in since Corona started, because people are hitting me up like, okay, after in September I want to release this EP, I need to write 3 songs. So I'll be like working with them, and I'll still be getting money for that, even if it's not my product. Like, it's okay if you're working for somebody else for a span of time. I think what is also interesting, when we were talking about dance studios and stuff, I've seen a lot of dance studios doing crowdfunding campaigns, because whatever we're making, we're giving into the culture of the city or the country we're in, and that's part of everybody's life. So I've seen like a lot of dance studios putting out crowdfundings and asking their members or people who are interested in dance to just give 1-2 euros, and accumulated. If 1,000 people give €2, that's going to make you 2,000 euros at the end of the day. So it's still money that you can put towards opening up in September and stuff like that. And as individual artists, we can also do that. Like as independent artists, we can also say, okay, I wanted to release my project in 2021, and I need my fans' help to be able to put this out, because right now I don't have any sources of income. What is interesting is to do advances, ask for advances. Like I know DJs that have asked for advances from the artists they work with, because they're still capable of doing their work. They just, all the shows are canceled and there's nothing we can do about it. So if you as an artist can't support your DJ for the time being, I think that is really important. If your DJ says, yo, I need an advance for the next 3 months, can you like give me money, and then when the shows start, like I won't take any money from you for like the next 10 shows, kind of a thing. So we're still like helping each other out in the hip hop community, and between the different actors of the hip hop community, how can we help each other out, kind of a thing. I think what is also interesting is again, like learning how to brand your music and learning how to network, because right now we have the time for that. We have the time to look at tutorials and stuff, and we have the time to hit up people on Instagram and on YouTube and stuff, and try to look for collaborations that are going to be monetized in the future. Like if you talk to like a really big DJ or a really big artist that is a little bit more popular than you are, and you show them how much you can bring into their business, that is going to build a relationship that is going to be like a friendship, artist to artist relationship. But in a couple of months, that person might ask you for a collab, or that person might ask you to help him out with the song, or to help him out with his social media, stuff like that. So I think it's time for us to multiply our skills and think about actions that are going to help us develop our brand and develop our music in the future, even if right now it's a difficult moment to get direct income, direct deposit coming in.
That's so hi. So yeah, that's actually very strong insight, and we will come back to the same question of branding and networking for an artist right now. But before that, let's have a short break, and so we can show the audience that what design is actually is. So we will see you after 5 minutes. Will that be okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Need to get your parents off your back? Head to the world's #1 creative marketplace, Designhill.
When I started my photography business, I needed something that said, this was more than just a hobby. It's not a hobby, Mom. That's why I went to Designhill and got an amazing logo, super fast, at a price I could afford. The process was easy using Designhill's logo maker. Just enter the name of your business, then pick out a number of designs that inspire you. I'll pick this one, and that one looks cute. Then pick your colors or let the system decide. Add some more info like a slogan, the industry your business is in, and your budget. The logo maker, using machine learning and artificial intelligence, will design thousands of logo variants that you can choose from and adapt. In fact, I was able to get everything from business cards to t-shirt design and complete social media kit, all with the click of a button. With that, I'm all set. Now everyone I meet knows I'm a legit photographer. Even my mom. It's real. That's decaf.
Let the world know it's real and build your brand with Designhill.
That's decaf.
Let the world...
Climax is a full-service video agency based around video production. We created a brand that fit our identity at the time, but as we've evolved as a company, we found that original didn't quite fit our aspirations anymore. Finding a partner to rebrand your entire company takes a lot of time and effort. Finding Designhill was an incredible lifeline. Designhill offers a money-back guarantee. If we don't like any of the designs, we get all of our money. We're well beyond.
Hey guys, so we are back, and we have Tracy with us once again, and Kundu, hi, we welcome you back once again. And before we start, Tracy, we were talking about how the artists can brand themselves and how they can leverage the networks. So before we move ahead, I would love to know that what advice can you give to have a very thriving network? Some actionable tips once again, on how to brand yourself and how to have this network which you can leverage upon later. How did you build it? So we can have inspiration from your life and use it in our lives.
I think
Uh,
branding your music is a really, really. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I think the branding side of music is one of the most complicated things, because as an artist, you create music and you don't really know how it's going to be perceived or how people are going to see it. So it's really hard, to put a wording behind it. But I think the one of the first steps is to know where you want your music to go. If you want your music to be commercial and mainstream, if you want it to be underground, if you want it to be, for a wide public, or you want it to be for a niche of a very specific, public that wants to know about a certain topic, kind of a thing. So I think the first step is to know where your music is going to go. Write down a couple of words of how you define your music. And then the next thing is to know where that music fits in. Does it fit into really broad, wide media that are, just talking about a lot of different things? Or do you aim it more like more specific brands that are only looking to develop a certain kind of artist? So, for example, you have a lot of labels that only develop cloud rap, for example. Well, once you know that you want to do cloud rap, you're going to aim your product towards those kind of labels, for example. I think you also have to define what kind of public you have in front of you to be able to adapt your communication skills towards them. So, for example, it's really funny, but I do very feminist music. I talk about a lot about women's rights and women's pleasure and sexuality and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, my music is listened to more men than women. So how do I adapt my music to that? How do I adapt my communication skills? How do I adapt my social media presence to the kind of public I have? And that all comes with branding. And then how do I make my music valuable and recognizable? So, for example, I know that I use a lot of like fast style. I rap very quickly in a lot of my songs. And when I go on a collab, I try to do like a fast style so that people recognize my voice. And now, for example, there's something really stupid, but I tend to like talk a lot about sex and stuff like that. So now when people, come and approach me, they will use like symbolisms around sex and female pleasure to put me out there. So it's like it's a concept that people relate me to. So now when people, see something related to sex, they will send it to me and think, oh, do you have anything to do with this project, kind of a thing? And it's something really stupid. It's like a topic that everybody talks about, but people are still relating it to me. The same thing, when I talk about how do you make your brand valuable, people know exactly what I talk about. People know that I talk about feminism. People know that I talk about hip hop culture. People know that I talk about multiculturality. So when a brand is going to approach me and say, I want you to sell these sneakers, they are going to know exactly what to expect from me. They're going to know that if I'm going to sell those sneakers, I'm going to sell them with a feminist approach, with a multicultural approach, and I'm going to sell them, to a public that I cater to. Like I have a good a relationship with my audience. As in, if I hadn't developed my brand, people would say, okay, I want you to sell these sneakers in this way. and I want you to sell them to this part of your public, kind of a thing. And then I'll be like, yeah, but that does not correspond to what I want to do. So I think it's really important to have a brand that is clear for everybody. So when somebody else wants to, work with your brand, they will actually know what your approach to selling that product is going to be, and you won't be able to get played as much as we would on a normal basis. So I think, yeah, like building your brand is like super, super important for your public to identify you and for brands to know what to expect from you.
Wow, that's
I don't know if that makes
it
sense.
does actually. Actually, it does actually. When you have your own niche, which reach to people, then and once we associate you with a product or even a thought process, already in their minds, we have a very strong recall, and that's maybe an artist needs. So even on a forefront or even subliminally, we need that. We all need that. And Kundu, what will be your tips for an artist to make a brand out of himself or herself?
You're
How will
asking the wrong person.
I'm asking a dance nomad right now.
I'm just a very free spirit person. I don't think about, I just dance. I enjoy. I've been fortunate to make it a career and a life out of it. But I never went in thinking, I've never been very goal oriented or, business minded person. I'm just lucky I'm here. So I'm the wrong person. I just do it. I just do it. Things happen. I'm fortunate. Thank you. That's it.
But you must have seen some artists making it big. So you must have seen some artists making a brand out of themselves. So can you tell?
They do, but I don't. I don't think I think that way. So I can't really say much about it.
So can you point what they did right actually? So you can something you might have observed what they did right. You might not do the same thing, but
So
you have observed something which they did right. And so if you
that
can,
they did right.
yeah,
I think I think it's a combination of different things. I think networking is very important. Talking, having the right contacts. See, it's not always about like the most talented people or the ones that, get succeed or get somewhere in life. We all know that. It's a combination of things. It could be being at the right time, at the right place, having the right contacts. It's. I think a lot of people who are super talented don't become successful because they're so into their art and keeping it real, and they're just like they put all their energy there. Opposed to there's a lot of people who might not be as talented, but they put a lot of energy into like the business side. So to each his own. But the people who are very talented can't hate on the people who are successful because they're not there because they might have done something that they didn't do. So that's just how it is. Yeah. So if you want to do something to make the change, yeah. Sorry.
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's also part of your branding, being easygoing and just, supernatural with your dance and just, being super old school hip hop about it is also part of your brand. It's also what people appreciate in what you do. And that's why they follow you. Because like you were saying, human interaction is super important. Communication skills is super important. So you can build your brand on that. Even if you don't have a huge social media presence, people are still going to talk about you because they know you're cool and they know you're easygoing and you're easy to approach, kind of a thing. That's also part of your brand, I think.
I guess so. Yeah, it's true. Then I guess we all have a brand. Then
Yeah, we do have that because whenever we talk about Kundu, we have this image of a person who is traveling the world, even though he has taught a big work with like really big brands and associations. He's always this dance nomad who's traveling and just spreading happiness and joy. So that's your brand actually. So even subconsciously, you have worked. You have worked, and in subconsciously you have a brand.
I think of myself as anybody else. Like everybody who messages me, I message everybody back, and a lot of the times people are like surprised that I message back. I'm like, I'm nobody. I'm just another person on this planet. Because I do what I do or because I'm in the position I am doesn't make me any better than anybody. So that's just my mindset. I don't think of myself in this way. I'm just a regular guy, and I'm just trying to make it to the end. Hopefully, I can make it to next year. Hopefully, we all can make it to next year.
Yeah, we all hope so. And one actually very interesting question came up to in the question star, something which is very business oriented. So Tracy, I'll go with you first on this question. What about merchandising during COVID times? Maybe an autograph, printed stuff. It will connect to your favorite artists and win-win for both of them.
This is a very interesting question that I have been thinking a lot about during this season, and there are a couple of difficulties that people don't see because it's all about the backstage work. First of all, is how do you put merchandising out, but that is still relatable to the projects that are ongoing. For example, I released my first album last year. It's completed a year now, and I'm already working on the second one. But is there any point on releasing merch that is related to my first album when I'm already working on a second one? So I would be like, I would rather wait and wait for my second album to be out and then release merchandising that is, around that project than just releasing something for the sake of releasing it. Second thing is, we know that with the COVID crisis, people don't have a lot of money. So at the end of the day, it's a lot of production costs, it's a lot of shipping costs, it's a lot of paying people to do the graphics, paying people to actually create the products, and then you might not get as much money as you would expect to. You might not even be able to pay back all the costs that you have put into creating that merch. Then the other thing is that shipping has also been paused, and sending stuff takes like a lot more time than it used to, and you don't know about the quality of the things. I released a poster yesterday. It's an illustration that some fans did for me, and I really wanted to create a poster out of it and send it. So we were talking about creating a frame, but with all this crisis, I don't know if that frame is going to arrive as a frame to the person that I'm sending it to, because it's going to travel through different countries. It's going to take, I don't know, a month. And at the end of the day, is it going to arrive in the state that I want it to arrive in with like a quality product? Or is it going to arrive like all squished and broken and shattered and stuff? So I think there's a lot to think about it. Same thing. Due to this crisis, I wanted to personalize my merch. I wanted to sign those posters. But if somebody in India is producing it, or somebody in the States is producing it to me, and am I going to be able to sign it? It's not the same as when I released my album the week before. I sat down with my label. We took all the albums. I signed all of them. And then both of us like went to the post office, and then we sent everything off. We made sure the addresses were right. I made sure I put like a little like thank you note inside of the CDs. It was more like a personalized experience. Like today, everything seems like it's super unnatural. And I'm even thinking of sending this illustration company a digital signature so that they can just put on the posters graphically. And I feel that that's kind of cheating on my public, because I'm not sitting down and actually signing it. So it's like, okay, I can put merch out, but is it the right moment to do it? Is it the right conditions to do it in? Is it the way I want to do it? I feel like the same amount of love is not put into that product at the end of the day.
Yeah, so merchandising, how appealing it might sound, but the operational cost is too high in terms of money and terms of the risk that it has, and it might end up hampering your brand even. That given that point you have to illustrate. So maybe we lost Kundu due to some reason, but will continue with you. So we had this question before the webinar started from someone who actually owns an agency. Basically, it's a record label. So the question I will just read out to you. So he owns a brand new record label and talent agency. So is there anything he can do to find some funding right now? We know crowdsourcing is one way to go about it, but for a talent agency, it's hard to convince people that we're doing something very relevant, especially in developing countries. So how can these guys go for funding?
I think this is a really difficult situation, because it's very hard for a record label or a talent agency to start now. I think it's a very difficult moment to launch your business right now. Like, I think if you're ready to launch your business, you should wait for a couple of months before actually launching it, because there is no funding, there is no money in the business right now. The only things you could do, like you were saying, is the crowdfunding, and then maybe finding sponsors. But a sponsor's gonna want to invest in a company that has no audience because it hasn't been launched yet. That's why it's so important, to create your brand and build an audience and build a demand. So then sponsors can be like, okay, I'm going to sponsor this project because I know that money is going to come back in at some point, and or my brand is going to have more exposure and more visibility. Then it's worth, sponsoring a project. But right now it's a really hard time because no sponsors are going to want to invest in any project right now because they're also having trouble, with their own budgets and stuff. Secondly, is it's really hard to build an audience that is going to pay for your product right now. And thirdly, it's there is just no money in the industry. So even if you want to bring in, if you're like a talent agency and you want to hire people, are you going to be able to pay them, kind of thing? So I think it's a very difficult situation to launch your product and your projects, and but there's a lot of backstage work that you can do to prepare that launch. Like we were saying, networking, branding, building your audience on social media, getting more following, finding collaborations with different artists, going live on Instagram with these artists so that you can get more exposure and visibility. Because at the end of the day, we all talk about art as in, yeah, art is beautiful, you have to learn how to appreciate it, but at the end of the day we all look at numbers. When an artist hits me up like, okay, I want to do a collab with you, the first thing I'm going to look at is how many followers he has on Instagram and on YouTube. Because at the end of the day, I need that collaboration to benefit me. Okay, I can do a collaboration with somebody that has 100 followers because I like that person or I appreciate their music, but I know that I'm going to lose from that. He's going to gain from my public and my audience, but I'm not going to gain anything from that. So if I want to sell my project to somebody that has 500,000 followers, I need them to know that my product is worth and that he's going to be able to benefit from me in some way or another. So I think that backstage work, like building your audience, building your numbers, making your numbers go up, getting more exposure and more visibility so people know that, important people are following you and stuff like that is important. Even though we think like it's so superficial. Okay, it is superficial, but it is reality. And we need to be working on that. If we like it or not, it's still part of how the business works. And it's how you grow the value of your brand. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of backstage work we can be doing. We can also be, start like buying equipment. For example, when this whole situation started, I was like, damn, I don't have a mic at home. I don't have lamps. I don't have a good camera. How am I going to create content with that? So I was like, okay, this means I need to start, building skills in that section. So I bought a lamp. I bought a mic. And then and now I'm right now learning how to use them because you have to learn how to be independent and, have the resources to be able to get your content out there and build your audience by putting content out there by yourself. Because in this situation, we have clearly understood that we cannot depend on anybody. I can't ask somebody to bring a lamp for me when everybody is on lockdown. I can't ask a videographer to come to my house and record me if, that is going to put him in risk and in danger. So it's really important, to develop skills, get the right equipment, build your audience, find collaborations and stuff like that. Things that don't look monetizable right now, but that are going to monetize your brand in the future.
So just that's very something, you're actually putting a lot of weight on the fact that even though we're not working right now directly, but we should have a lot of weight behind us now. So the moment the thing launches, we should go to full force. So if I turn the tables around, let's say I'm an agent looking for artists. So for an artist, getting the logistics right is the big part, and for me, for an agent, to get a right pool of artists is a bigger part right now. But there are two factors right now. First, they are not visible as they used to because there are no stage shows right now,
Mm-hmm.
and Insta is too crowded. And even if we find them right now, digital or online, then how do should I keep them engaged, even though I have less or no money to no money to even support them? So how should I take them? How do you keep them
I
engaged with you?
I think this is where all the branding thing comes into account, and all the human relation skills that we were talking about, about Kundu as well. As an artist, I want to know if I can trust my label. I want to know if I can trust my team. So even if they say, look, we don't have any money to produce your second album, am I going to trust them enough to stay? Okay, I'm still going to stay with you guys, or am I going to say like, you should have a another bank account on the side to be able to prepare, or you should have an insurance or something that is going to help you back all these projects up. So trusting your team is really important. If you feel like they didn't put the work behind, to be able to secure your project, then it's your right to walk out of that. So for example, I know that my label is having a lot of trouble, with funding my second album, but I'm like, okay, I trust you guys, and I know that you guys are going to work, and we're going to work together to get out of this. So even if my album is not released in November 2020, it will be released in March 2021, but we'll get it done in a little bit more time, and we're still going to be working on it. For example, I have told my label, this is the moment to get your Instagram going, because they don't even have an Instagram. So when they're going to go out and talk about my project, they're going to be like, okay, but what kind of following do you have on Instagram, and what kind of subscriptions do you have, and who is actually following the music of your artists? So it's really important, again, to work on your branding and all these things, and then to find a way to work with the artist to be able to create a team. So for example, I know that I was thinking about this crowdfunding thing, but I was like, no, at the end of the day, I don't want my fans to pay for my work, because I want to be able to give my fans a product. And I don't want to feel responsible. I don't want to feel like I have a responsibility towards them in terms of, okay, I know my audience paid for this. That means I have to do a music that is going to please them. I want to do music that is like authentic to me, and that they're going to appreciate because it is authentic to me. So this is when you have to, figure out who is responsible for what. A label's responsibility is to finance projects. It is to be, the producers of the final product. So it's their responsibility to pay for this stuff. So if you have a record label, you need to be able to secure the bag, and you need to be able to, secure enough money on the side to, cater for these kinds of situations, because they are gonna come up more often now with all this, as we were saying, yeah, the way live shows were configured today is going to change for the future. Maybe, in the future, we're going to have drive-in shows where cars come in and they watch you, from a distance. How are your teams going to be able to cater to that? As a band, if you play with like 12 people, you're not going to be able to respect the 1 meter distance, security distance thingy. So you're going to have to, restructure the configuration of your team. So it's a lot of work, that comes from different angles that has to be processed and thought about, because we need to, prepare for crises like this to come up in the future again.
Yeah. And Kundu, welcome back. We actually lost you for a while, but it's good to. So I'll catch you up. So we were talking about how the artists and talent agencies can gear themselves up for the revival strategy
Okay.
for Corona, for those lines. And guys, we have a question. We have one more question from the audience. That's a pretty, a modern question. So we will figure. You will know why. Please give us Please give us more insight on building our social media following, as we have quite some time to invest in it right now, and that it can benefit in our business later. So how to have a good social media presence for artists, which actually is not very critical. So Kundu, what about you? How will you advise him?
Uh, Honestly, I don't really put a lot of energy into this stuff. I do post here and there and stuff, but I actually have lost quite a lot of interest. Like if I do once a week, that's fine for me. It's just kind of consuming too much of my time. Um, yeah, I just think of fun things to do. I've been so like the last 4 or 5 days, I've been doing this thing called. So I was doing some series called Each One Teach One, and that was on YouTube mostly and stuff like that. So then, building upon that, I did this thing called Step of the Day. So every morning, like I'll teach a step, I'll put it on the thing, and then put a little tags or whatever the hashtags or whatever, and then people like try them out, and it's just a little something interactive. But I mean, I'm not like a big person on the Instagram and all that stuff. I do here and there, and yeah, I think maybe Tracy's better than me. Sure, all this stuff. I guess you got to make it a little interactive. Have your audience also like involved. I guess it shouldn't just be like look at me, look at me, look at me. I just feel you have to be careful with the social media, because it can be a little like it can also be quite unhealthy, I feel. So you gotta like be careful and have a fine balance. I mean, I get stuck in it too sometimes, and for me, that's why like on Instagram, I don't follow anybody, and the reason I do that is because at one time it was just getting too much information for everybody, and it just became too much, and I couldn't handle it. And I just like, okay, I'm just gonna put my stuff and I answer messages and stuff, but I try not to be on that too much on the feed and stuff, try to minimize my time, or else my brain just, my mind.
So even though Kundu answered really casually about this, we can actually have two insights, actually three. So whenever you post content, make it engaging, interact with the audience, and always make sure that you talk to people around you, whether in DMs or anything like that. So we
See,
actually have three insights from that. And trust me, Kundu, not very many people do it actually.
I mean, I don't know. It's a hard thing. I think if you like, I mean, I just do the work that I enjoy, and whoever wants to see it sees it. Great. Whoever doesn't see it, that's fine. That's all I think of it. I don't do the work to like see how many views or how many people are following me. That's not so important to me. I told you this before, Sid. Remember, I was telling you. I think I mean, nowadays you see like a girl can just put a picture of her and she's like half naked and like she'll get 1 million views in like 5 minutes. That's just how the world works, So it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
So Tracy, how would you jump in here now on our social media marketing strategy for artists?
First of all, I would say that you have to know what you want from the page. You have to know what you're trying to put out on the page. And as much as you want to make it business oriented, it's going to get personal, especially when you're an independent artist. Because people at the end of the day, they're going to listen to your music, but they want to know more about you. They want to know more about the lifestyle of the artist. They want to, be able to connect with who the artist is, apart from just listening to the music and liking the music. And I realized that because before I wanted to do only promo on my page. And then I understood that people wanted to know where I came from and what I did and how I got into music and that kind of stuff. So you have to like work on your storytelling on your social media as well. You have to, make it clear for people, what kind of person you are, who is the person that is behind the music and behind the final artistic product. And what is really funny is that I feel like I've been analyzing social media a lot because I have had a lot of trouble with it. As in, like Kundu was saying, it can be very unhealthy. Like I used to be addicted to looking at my numbers all the time and wondering why one photo would get 600 views and why another photo would only get 100. And then I started analyzing, the algorithms, and we know clearly that when I put a picture of my face, I get a lot more likes than when I put a picture of a poster of a show I'm going to or a show that I'm, where I'm going to perform myself. And it's really superficial. It's hard to accept how superficial social media can be, but that's how it works. So then you have to adapt to that. And I really want to contradict something Kundu said about, when a girl puts a picture of her half naked, she gets 1 million views. Because I have tried that myself. As in, I wasn't looking for the views, but, I talk a lot about feminism and I wanted to contradict the fact that, why is Instagram censoring nipples? So I put out a photograph where I had a see-through T-shirt where you could see my nipples. And this was, a very political picture where I was talking about how censorship is just about controlling women's bodies and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I lost like 200 followers. And I got so many hate comments that I was like, this image we have is totally fake. Because women are so criticized on social media because people could just hide behind a screen and say whatever, messed up things they want to say without, taking responsibility for it. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to go and figure out who that person is. I'm not going to go and knock at the door and say, come, let's have a debate face to face. So they can say whatever they want. They can insult me and send me hate messages and nothing's going to happen. But it still affects us. And I still lost public and I still lost credibility and legitimacy because people was like, oh, yeah, she's trying to sell her body now. She's not working on her music. And it's like, okay, people don't understand that, being okay with your body and exposing your body does not mean that you're less good at what you do and that you have less talent. So I think that that's something women have to deal with that men are completely oblivion to. Like a man can put a picture of him without wearing a T-shirt because he just finished his workout and everybody will be like, hey, that's great. And then when a girl does that, it's like, no, you're sexualizing your body, you're degrading yourself, you're becoming super superficial. And it's like, okay, that means that you're not respecting me for my talent. You're just looking at me as a sexual object. And that is really, something that you have to really take in account when you're using social media, because people are going to look at you as a sexual object. But how are you going to redefine that? And how are you going to still work on your talent despite what people may say about you?
So yeah, so that actually went a pretty charged up discussion. So I will be on both. So I will just reiterate two things from that. That once you're on social media, it's a necessary evil right now. We need to be online. We need to be visible. That's good for that, but you should not be carried away by that. Sometimes it can be too fake, too superficial. So yeah, we can put the good work in that, but not be too carried away by the impact of it. Yeah, and so guys, we actually are towards the end of session right now. We are towards the end, and guys, once again, thank you so much for coming online, Kundu and Tracy, both of you guys. It was
Thank,
amazing to hear from you, and lots of love from Design Hill to you guys.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
And you will receive the copies of the video very very soon, so you can share it with the fans as well, with all the rights possible. And once again, thank you so much, guys. It was really amazing, and I got to know some things about industry which I was very very casually unaware of.
Mm,
Thank you so much, guys, for coming online. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, and thank you for all the public for tuning in.
Yeah.
So yeah, we actually had quite a few fans as well. We have quite a few fanboy moments for Kundu. Yeah. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Sid. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Kundu.
Bye, guys. I'll see you around.
Bye.